The Timeshift.
Hello and welcome to The Timeshift, a Doctor Who related review show that's very popular with Druid-based people. Apparently, if you go off the comments from last week's video. Now this video is going to review the latest episode of Doctor Who entitled Extermis, or whatever it's called. Now this video is going to be a review of that episode, and as such it's going to be spoiler heavy. So if you've not seen this episode as of yet, it's best to switch this video off now to avoid any spoilers. But for the rest of us, it's time to dive headfirst into extremities, stramatus, who cares? Okay, so if I'm going to be frank and honest with you, this was a very odd episode of Doctor Who for me. On the one hand, I did thoroughly enjoy it from start to finish, but on the other side of things, it was an almighty mindfuck, I have to say, to the degree that I'm starting to question the reality of the show that I've been watching the past few weeks. I'm at this situation where I'm starting to question whether we've actually ever been in the quote-unquote real Doctor Who universe, that all this time we've just been in this virtual version of it, that we've not thus far actually had an adventure with the, again, quote-unquote real Doctor, Nardole and Bill, that we've just found ourselves in this strange alien virtual reality machine up until this point. Or at least we've had at least one adventure with the real three of them, that the first one so they would actually meet up, and that everything thus far has been fake, fictional, that's been not actually been real. The whole idea of discovering that you don't exist, that you exist in this virtual world and everything you know is actually part of this cleverly constructed fiction, is one that fills me with a certain degree of existential dread. I mean, imagine it, just one day you're minding your own business and you get sent an email attachment that reveals the secret code to existence that you have, almost like the shadow test that they have in this episode, or you just, out of just curiosity, you stick your hand off into the veiled unknown, then all of a sudden you oh god, I'm starting to crossfade out of reality, no! Okay, to stop fucking around, to actually talk about the episode itself, I have to admit that I did find this week's episode to be genuinely enjoyable. It is one that had a fantastic mystery in it, one which was progressively doled out to us in a very well-paced way, one whose mystery actually did have some genuine weight behind it, not just emotionally, but also with the certain things that they could do further on within the series. We have the hint that the Doctor can, if needs be, borrow things from future generations. Whilst I do feel as though that was a bullshit writer's get out of jail free card to help Stephen Moffat writing this episode ever so slightly, it does potentially set something up for later this series. Maybe the moment that we're seeing in the next time trailer bit where the Doctor's going for a regeneration a bit. Maybe, maybe not. We'll soon find out as we go forward. And also it sets up next week's part of the story, because apparently this is part of a three-parter, and even if it is by Stephen Harness, we won't hold that against next week's episode. Of course, we'll discuss that in due course. This week's episode did have a few problems to it, though, I have to admit. With this whole notion that this is taking place within some kind of virtual world, I have to question the whole logic behind our evil alien bad guys' modus operandi, almost. The whole idea of this virtual world is that it allows the aliens time to practice taking over the Earth and to defeating the Doctor. That in itself is kind of a scary idea, that not only that the reality that you're living in could be totally fictional, that you are not a genuine human being with their own sentience and their own free will, that you are little more than just another sim in some greater version of The Sims, is terrifying. But also the idea that somewhere out there in the cosmos there's a race of aliens that are practicing taking over the Earth in some kind of weird version of Dawn of War is equally terrifying. But the problem is that the method that they are using to take over the world in the simulation that we're seeing this week is one that only really works within the virtual world. Whenever the virtual humans within this virtual world read the Veritas, it's then that they realise that the world in which they are living in is virtual. They suddenly realise that what they are living in is not the real world. They suddenly become the sim that looks up and sees the plumb bod above their face. It's at that moment they come to realisation that, oh my god, my life is a lie, I'm going to kill myself. It's at that moment that the evil genius plan works. That doesn't really translate into the real world, because as is noted within this episode, they have what is called the shadow test. That in the virtual world, that in computing, that random numbers are never truly random. There's always something working in the background that comes up with the numbers. I don't know the exact algorithm, so I'm not even going to pretend to know them. But the fact remains is that in that example that they have Bill and Nardal just saying random numbers, and the same random numbers. You have everyone else in the same room saying the same random numbers just off the top of their head, and they're always the same. That same test isn't going to work in the real world. If you get a group of people to just shout out the first number that comes into their head, the chances that all of them are going to say the exact same numbers time and time and time again is going to be remotely slim. So there's no way you can really trick people to saying you're in a virtual world, you don't exist. Probably best if you killed yourself in that regard. Unless these aliens have found a way in controlling human minds, either through subliminal messaging or hypnosis, to make them think that the world that they are living in is fake, then this whole adventure in terms of the evil method that they're going to use to take over the world is totally fruitless. It has no use within the real world. And judging by some of the things that seem to be happening within the Next Time trailer, they're not using the Veritas at all. So this whole adventure, this whole exploration, the whole thing of the aliens luring the Doctor into reading the Veritas was just really so that the Doctor could discover that the Veritas was killing people and that the world that they were in was fake, so that he could then tell the real Doctor. What I'm trying to say is that the aliens just gave victory over to the Doctor by telling him that the world that he existed in was fake. They could have used any other methodology to make him die, to make him kill himself, but they didn't. I hope I'm making myself clear here, because I have to admit that just saying this stuff out loud just kind of bend my head ever so slightly, that the aliens are using a method that they can't actually use in the real world. This is one of those episodes where the more you think about it after the fact, the less it actually makes sense. I suppose if we were to borrow an analogy from the show itself, imagine Super Mario. Imagine Super Mario is now within our world, and he discovers that some famous head of state has been kidnapped by terrorists. Under Super Mario logic, he would just eat a mushroom, jump on the head, and save the day. In reality, that's probably not going to work. He's probably going to have to use more contemporary methods to save the day. So with that in mind, he can't save the day using his own rules. The rules that make sense within the virtual reality world aren't going to make sense within the real world. These evil aliens can quite happily send this evil Veritas book to every single person on the planet. They're going to read it and think, huh, that's odd, and go about the rest of their life. And if they do try to use the shadow test, it's not going to work. For the reasons that I've said previously, that the chances of the same few people saying the same few numbers time and time again is incredibly slim. Sure, you may get some people that question it, that start to believe that they are in a virtual world, but, you know, that's always going to be the case of things. Unless these aliens do end up using some kind of mind control device to make it work, which they may not do, again, because if you look at the Next Time trailer, it doesn't seem they're using the Veritas in the slightest, but whatever. I have this feeling that this is one of those cases where, even though this is part of the three-parter, I don't think any of the three parts have actually been written by the same fucking person, or these three people who have read it have actually been in the same room to discuss ideas. But you know what? At the end of the day, it was a fun mystery and an excitable one, even if it doesn't quite make sense in the cold light of day. But still, whatever. Gonna wander now into the whatever section. Performance? That's what it is. Yes! Go! Sorry for getting a bit distracted. I'm just, like I say, the more I think about the mystery to this week's story, the more it doesn't make sense, and the more my explanation as to why it doesn't make sense. Whatever. I'll probably discuss it a little bit more when we get to the overview, but in terms of performances, I have to say that, as always, the Doctor and Bill, great, fantastic, good. This was a great episode to actually have Nordal doing something, which had an episode in which Matt Lucas was able to play his character and to play him effectively. And it actually felt as though he actually had some more weight towards him that wasn't just him being the comic relief. We get a greater sense just to who he is and how he exists within the Doctor Who universe ever so slightly. How he knows River Song and all that kind of thing, and it was great, it was enjoyable. I'd probably like to know a little bit more about his character, bar the odd wacky appearance we've had with him thus far, but we may do, we may not do, and I'm kind of interested to see what they do with his character when we get towards the end of the series, bearing in mind I'm not 100% sure if we're going to be seeing him in the next series when we have whoever it is that's taking over. I keep forgetting the correct name, Chris Mason or something like that, I don't know. The Broadchurch guy, he's taking over apparently. Fiddly-dee, performances, done. Okay, so my overview of the episode as a whole, it was a very exciting episode, a very interesting episode, an episode which did actually have a mystery with it, unlike last week's episode. A mystery that was developed and shown to us progressively in a way which it was actually interesting. That had us constantly guessing and trying to figure out exactly what this mystery was. Was this just an evil book, or was there something more sinister towards it? And it was a refreshing change to actually have a villain this week who was actually villainous and wasn't just some kind of misunderstood monster. Oh, just like that poor giant anglerfish within the big Thames. Oh, it was locked up and those emoji robots are being used as slaves. Oh, how sad. Thankfully we didn't get anything like that. They were just evil aliens doing evil things, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Of course, again, I find this whole mystery with the Veritas to be a little bit superfluous by the fact that they can't use it in the real world, so what was the point in doing this whole virtual adventure anyway with them? Or rather, what was the point in them using it if they can't use it in the real world, unless it was just there for the sake of them probing the Doctor's personality more than it was to actually come up with a legitimate, methodology, which is a legitimate idea, a valued idea, and probably was the idea, but, unless it is said or hinted, that is just speculation, and speculation should never be taken in place of actual facts within anything. Rampant fan speculation, theories, or what have you, are fine and dandy as they're just fan things, but they can never be used in place of actual writing. If the writers themselves fail to come up with a point or an idea, it shouldn't be the fans' job to bail them out of it. They should be able to come out of this in their own way. They should think about these things in advance before they actually commit to making it. Whether it's making a TV show, a film, a video game, any kind of plot holes should be filled in either in that initial thing or in the follow-up. It may be what will be discussed in next week's episode. Maybe it was a throwaway or otherwise line within this week's episode, which I just missed somewhere just for the sheer existential dread. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. But maybe that is it. Maybe the whole method that they were, maybe this whole virtual adventure that we went on this week was not the aliens coming up with a method to defeat the Doctor, but more just to probe his personality that little bit more to find his exact weakness so that they could exploit it next week. Maybe. Kind of hard to say because I honestly don't know how next week's episode is going to go. Next week's episode is the one by Peter Harness, and if you've been watching the Timeshift for the past few series or so, you know that me and him don't exactly see eye to eye, though I say I've never met the man. I'm sure he's great fun, I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I hear that he actually has written some genuinely great stuff. Just so happens that when it's come to Doctor Who stuff, I've been very, very, very harsh. Maybe unduly harsh at times towards him. But we'll soon find out next week. I'll discuss, of course, my legacy with him a little bit that in time when we get to that next week. But what did you think, dear viewers? What did you think of this week's episode? Leave a message in the comment section down below, just as the following people did. Well, I haven't had a chance to put their names on the screen, so I'm going to do that right now. Our first comment comes from NCS Sounds, who says, "Good vid." Thank you. Our second comment comes from ICY Music NCS, who says, "Awesome video." Thank you. I'm starting to see a pattern emerging here. And our final comment comes from Mr. Bass Boost, who says, "Good. Keep it up." Thank you. All three of these people were drum and bassy related accounts, and I find that very, very odd. Where's this suddenly come from? I have no idea, but thank you all for your wonderful comments. It is always good to get an ego rub. If you yourself, again, have any comments, leave them in the comment section, whatever website you're watching them on. Thank you for watching, and I don't know, maybe we'll get more drum and bass related comments. I really don't know where that's come from. Maybe it's due to the theme music that we have. The theme music that I myself wrote and put together. I didn't think it was drum and bass, I just thought it was generic sci-fi kind of thing, but whatever, it worked, so Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next week with the pyramid. Thank you and goodbye.